Yeah, Shalom Israel. Before I start, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Wahara, Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles in Israel who will and teach well, the Akims and the Iwas and byways, and those pushing this word in truth, sincerity, and to the brothers and sisters in the truth. Now, this is a little clip I want to play from a debate between, Captain Tazariak, a brother from ISUPK, and a pastor or a minister, as he calls himself, Elder Mike. And what I want to touch is a comment that he makes, referring to the seed of the woman, and all have sinned. And the issue with Christianity, or one of the issues, is that the scriptures itself is a record pertaining to a specific group of people and their lineage, going back to before they were a nation, starting from Adam, coming down to when they were a nation. And they're trying to use something that's about a specific group of people and open it to everyone. But it's a statement that he makes about Genesis chapter 3, which I want to touch on, because he uses that to say, the topic is actually about who is salvation for according to the Bible. So he tries to go back to Genesis chapter 3, where it speaks about the seed of the woman, trying to use that, and the seed of the serpent, trying to use that as a salvation term that the Most High had in mind for all nations. So I just want to play this clip and just give some clarity on that itself. Lord willing, it is edifying. So, I'm going to play this clip and then just go through the scriptures.
And so let's go ahead and get into this word. All right. So this all starts with the covenant that God made. I really can go back to Adam, and the covenant God made with Adam after the fall in Genesis chapter number 3 is that the seed of the woman would bruise the head of the serpent, and his head would bruise his heel. What was this about? This was about God bringing about restoration, not just for one person, but for humanity. Why? Because according to Romans chapter number 5, all fell in Adam. One man sinned, and therefore death passed upon all men. And so God's redemptive purposes has never been specifically about one ethnic group or one race of people, but about all humanity. Let's move.
And this is what I want to touch, because the account in Genesis chapter 3 is not dealing with God's redemptive purpose for all men. That is actually a prophecy regarding Jacob and Esau, and I just want to go through that and show what he's saying. Try and give some clarity and some understanding. So this is, I start 14, Genesis 3 and chapter 14. And the Lord power said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field, and upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee, the serpent, this is referring to Esau, and the woman, which is referring to Jacob, and between thy seed, which will be the Edomites, the serpent seed, and her seed, which will be Israel. And it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. And these terms are used for a reason. So it says enmity. I just want to look at what that word is. It says it's going to put enmity between the serpent and the woman, and between their seeds. That word enmity in the Strongs is H342. A second, my computer always runs a bit slow. Yes, that word enmity says enmity, hatred, hostility. So that's what's going to be between the serpent and the woman, and between their seed. Let me try and bring that word up.
Strong's H342. Ava. Ava.
Yeah. So that's enmity, hatred, hostility. This is what's going to be between the two, between the serpent and the woman, which is referring to Jacob, Esau and Jacob, and between their seed, which is the Edomite and the Israelites. Let me quickly go back here. Lucky for this slowness, man. So this is verse 15. It says, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, yeah, and between thy seed, the serpent's descendant, and her seed, the woman's descendant, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Actually, offspring, really, that's the word. The serpent's offspring. Let me see. Go to this word, seed. In the serpent's seed. This is crazy. All right, let's see if this is gonna play ball.
Strong's H2233. Zerah. Zerah.
So it's seed sowing offspring. Yeah, so that's the what the term is referring to, the offspring. Yeah, there's going to be enmity between the serpent's offspring, which will be Esau's offspring, and the woman's offspring, which will be Jacob's offspring. But now, the other one I want to pick up on, it says, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, the serpent's head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Now, that term heel is quite significant. When we look up that word, what it means in the Strong's, yeah, that word heel.
Strong's H6119. I cave. I cave.
So it says heel, rear, footprint, in the part. Yeah, but it comes from the root. This is the root, H6117. This is what is quite important.
Strong's H6117. I calve. I calve.
It's all the same. Look at what it says: to supplant, yeah, to circumvent, take by the heel, follow at the heel, assail, insidious, overreach, yeah, to supplant. Now, when we go to the account, remember I said this is actually a prophecy the Most High is giving regarding Jacob and Esau. So let's go to the account. That's the computer. It's like here. Yeah, let's go to that account in Genesis chapter 25 and 21. It says, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. And the children struggled. Yeah, this is the enmity, the start of the enmity, together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over, like an hairy garment. They call his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Now, watch this. Said his name was called Jacob. So I'm gonna look up this word here, Jacob. Yeah, Esau, Jacob. Let's look at what this means.
Strong's H 3290. Yaakov. Yaakov.
It says heel holder or supplanter. But look at the word, the root of what that name comes from. H617. Coming back to Genesis 3 and 15. We'll go back to heel. Yeah. The root of that is what? 8617. Hold on, let me see something here. Come back out. Give me a second. I just want to check something. There's the main Jacob. Lucky, so. Okay, yeah. So that's the point anyway. Like the word Jacob, the root of that name goes back to the same root that we find here. That's why that term is quite significant. Referring to, then it's referring to Jacob. So I'll read that again. It says, now we'll put enmity between thee, the serpent, referring to Esau, and the woman, which will be referring to Jacob, and thy seed, is descendants, the serpent's descendants, which is the Edomites, and her seed, which will be the Israelites, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Now, that was all prophesied about. Like I said, that was a prophecy that the Most High was given, and Paul speaks about this in Romans chapter 9 and verse 10. It says, and not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of the Most High according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. And what was that purpose? The purpose, going back when we read Genesis chapter 25, where it says, and the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two men of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. That's part of Jacob's blessing that we're going to read in a minute. But this even goes back further to what was prophesied here in Genesis chapter 3. And we're going to see that as we go through. It says, and I'll put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. And all of this is a prophecy relating to something. This is Genesis chapter 27. Showing you that blessing that Jacob got, where it says, and the elder shall serve the younger. Genesis 27, I'll start at 27. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment and blessed him. This is when Jacob went to get the blessing, when Esau had gone out to the field to try and get some venison, and blessed him and said, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord has blessed. Therefore the Most High give thee of the dew of heaven, and of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren. The elder shall serve the younger. And let thy mother's son bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. Now, showing you that enmity now, when you come down here, jump down to verse 38. I start at 38. Genesis 27:38. And Esau said unto his father, as thou but one blessing, my father? Because what happened? Esau came back seeking a blessing, and Isaac told him, look, I've already blessed that person that came in, which was Jacob. Says, bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Watch this now. And Esau hated Jacob. This is the enmity, because of the blessing wherein his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand, then I will slay my brother. Now, when you read the account, we know that Esau didn't follow that through, but that hatred still stayed, and that passed down through to the seed. Because remember, the prophecy that the Most High gave in Genesis 3:15, it says, and between thy seed and her seed, yeah. So this is Amos chapter 1. So that care for the sinus issue, man. It's just playing me up. Amos 1:11, thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgression of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity. So even though when we read the account, he didn't kill his brother as he said, but what does the scripture say? And did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. And that anger and that wrath continued through the seed of Esau. Now come back to Genesis chapter 3. Yeah, I want to start up at 14 again. It says, and the Lord said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, meaning he's cursed above all the other nations, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and thus shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. So this curse now, what is that curse that we see? Because this is all a prophecy that the Most High is referring to. Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 16, it says, lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For you know that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place of repentance, so he sought it carefully with tears. When we read the scriptures, we see that the other nations, a land was apportioned to all nations. So, when Yahushua returns, these nations will go into captivity, serve their period of captivity, and then return to their land. But when it comes to Esau, what is that curse that is upon him? And we can read about that in Obadiah chapter 1. And this covers the hatred and the curse that is upon Esau for that hatred. This is Obadiah 1:8. It says, shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Yeah, why? For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, this is that hatred. Shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. And this is how you know it's not really talking about Jacob and actual Esau, because when we read the account, there was no violence. So this is letting you know, this is showing you the enmity between the serpent seed and the woman's seed, the descendants, the offspring. It says, for thy violence against, 10, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, this is how you know he's talking about the seed, the descendants of Esau. And foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was as one of them. But thou should not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger. Neither should have thou rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither should have thou spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldst not have entered into the gates of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou should have not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. It's showing you that enmity that is between the two. Yeah. Now that curse, verse 18, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. Yeah? The house is dealing with the nation, for the Lord has spoken it. Yeah? And this is a prophecy which has to be fulfilled. Going back all the way, and this enmity between the seed, the serpent seed, and the woman's seed, it's not nothing to do with a redemptive story or redemptive account for all nation, as this pastor guy said, this minister. It's an account between Jacob and Esau and the descendants of them, and the redemptiveness of that is going back to Jacob being restored back to their former glory. He spoke about, I think it was, let me come back here. All men have sinned. Let me just quickly drop this video back. Okay. And get the account just to.
Supercharge your business with the all-new Shuffle.
So let me drop this back.
All fell in Adam. One man sinned, and therefore death passed upon all men. And so God's redemptive purpose with the covenant that God made, I really can go back to Adam. And the covenant God made with Adam after the fall in Genesis chapter number 3 is that the seed of the woman would bruise the head of the serpent.
And you know the problem with that as well, the seed of the woman, the offspring, is not dealing with all nations, because actually, when you look at the seed of the woman. Where is that? No, I'll come back to that in a sec. Bring that out. Bring that out in a sec.
And his head would bruise his heel. What was this about? This was about God bringing about restoration, not just for one person, but for humanity. Why? Because according to Romans chapter number 5, all fell in Adam. One man sinned, and therefore death passed upon all men.
Now, and let's read that. Yeah? Romans chapter 5. Because it's something that the Christians don't do. They tend to forget that what Paul is teaching is from the Old Testament. Yeah? He's not speaking off the top of his head. So this is Romans 5 and 12. It says, wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world. Now, this word here for world is cosmos. G2889 cosmos. Yeah. Oops. Okay.
Strong's G 2889 cosmos. Cosmos.
An act, an harmonious arrangement or constitution, order, government. Now, if it was referring to the whole world, yeah, could we get that? Lucky for the slowness, man. Yeah, if it was referring to the whole world, this is what it should be. Let's get that up. Okay. Luke this now. You know what, this computer is like what the Most has to do, where it speaks about refreshing the earth, putting it back to its natural state. This computer looks like it needs a bloody reboot. This is Luke 21. It says, and it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. Now, let's look at this word here. G3625.
Strong's G 3625. Oikumene. Oikumene.
What does it say? It says the inhabited earth. So this is what should be really in Romans 5 and 12, if it's speaking about the whole world. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. Now, who's the all that has sinned? Daniel chapter 9. Oh, that's 8. Daniel chapter 9 and verse 11. Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law. But it says, and death by sin. Now, when you come to second Esdras, because Adam, let me come here first. Genesis chapter 2 and 25. It says, and they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. So, there was a point where they were sinless, where they hadn't broken their commandments. And this is the only place in the scriptures where you read about the term naked, referring to someone who had not sinned. And how do you know? Because it says they were not ashamed. Anywhere after this, you read about them people being naked, it's dealing with someone that has sinned. Like when you go to chapter 3. Let's see if I can. Chapter 3. I'll start 3 and 9. And the Lord power called unto Adam and said unto him, where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, meaning what, he had sinned. And I hid myself. And he said, who told thee that thou was naked? Who told you that you had sinned? Now let me try and find something. Okay. Naked. So this account here, when Moses came down from the mountain, see the people them keeping up their foolishness. I'll start 22, Exodus 32 and 22. And Aaron said, let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. So I noticed the people that they are set on mischief. For they said unto me, make us gods which shall go before us For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And I said unto them, whosoever has any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. So when it says they were naked, were they clothesless? No. When Moses saw that the people had sinned. So going back to Genesis chapter 2. Where is it? Genesis 2. This is the one slacker. Going back to Genesis 2 and 25, and they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. This is when they were sinless. Yeah. After this now is when that term naked is dealing with sin. Now, so Romans 5 and 12. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world. Yeah, watch this. It's saying in the same book of Romans, Romans chapter 3 and verse 19. Now we know that what things soever the law saith, it saith to them who are under the law. Who are under the law? The Israelites. That every mouth may be stopped. Whose mouth? The Israelites. And all the world may become guilty before the Most High. Yeah, showing you that that world is dealing with the Israelites. And when we come into the Strongs, that word for world is the same. See, G2889 cosmos. Cosmos. Okay. It's Romans 5 and 12 again. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered the world, and death by sin. Now, this is second Esdras chapter 3 and verse 4. It says, O Lord, who bearest rule, thou spakest at the beginning, when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone, and commandest the people, and gave us a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thine hands, and did breathe into him the breath of life, and gave him law, statutes, and commandments, and he was made living before thee, and thou leddest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted, before ever the earth came forward. And unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy way, yeah, which he transgressed, yeah, and immediately thou pointest death in him and in his generations, yeah, his seed, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds of out of number. Yeah. Okay, so coming back to Genesis chapter 3 again, and verse 14. And the Lord power said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, above all people, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly thou shalt go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thy seed, between thee, Silakia, yeah, referring to Esau, and the woman, Jacob, and between thy seed, Esau, Edomites, and her seed, the Israelites, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So when we reach to Genesis 5, Genesis 25, you know, and we see the account of Jacob. Let's read that, holding the heel of Esau. Yeah, this is Genesis 25 and 26. And after that came his brother out. I read at 25. And the first came out red all over like an airy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare him. Now this is all referring to something. Yeah, this is second Esdras chapter 6, and I'll start verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the part asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first, this kingdom, and the beginning of it that followeth, the kingdom of heaven? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world. What it says. Let's see. And after that came out his brother, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. Yeah, this is what that means, man. It says, verse 9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Showing you this is not a redemptive account for all nations. It's the redemptive account of a seed line, which is what? The seed of the woman. yeah, and the enmity between that serpent seed and the woman's seed. Yeah, so let me play this again. It's lucky for the slowness. Not much I can do about that for now. But Lord willing, the lesson is still an edifying one. Today.
Are you a STEM professional and are looking to apply for U.S.
So I'm gonna drop this back.
His head would bruise his heel. All of you that are watching, and we're gonna get right into it. We appreciate my brother Jerry, certainly appreciate Captain T for agreeing to come on. And so let's go ahead and get into this word. All right, so this all starts with the covenant that God made. I really can go back to Adam. And the covenant God made with Adam after the fall in Genesis chapter number 3 is that the seed of the woman would
Yeah, which is the Israelites,
bruise the head of the serpent,
which is Esau, the Edomites.
and his head would bruise his heel. What was this about? This was about God bringing about restoration, not just for one person, but for humanity. Why?
And the seed is dealing with a Pacific seed, because he was going to mention Abraham, and he kind of stopped. But let's see this. Let's bring this out quickly. Come off it, man. Let's do this. Genesis 12. Genesis 12. Oh, blimey. Yeah. Start one. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee, and I will make of thee a great nation. And I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. Now watch this. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Now this blessing here, I will bless them that bless thee and curse them that curse thee. Where do we see that blessing? Or where did we see that blessing? Yeah. Genesis 27 and verse, because that went down from Abram to Isaac and to Jacob. I start at 29. Let people serve thee, the nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's son bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. And Christians tend to forget that when they quote in Genesis chapter 12. They always reference, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. They forget the stipulation for being blessed. Yeah. Totally forget the stipulations for being blessed. Check this back again.
We're gonna get right into it. We appreciate my brother Jerry, certainly appreciate Captain T for agreeing to come on. And so let's go ahead and get into this word. All right, so this all starts with the covenant that God made. I really can go back to Adam. And the covenant God made with Adam after the fall in Genesis chapter number 3 is that the seed of the woman would bruise the head of the serpent, and his head would bruise his heel. What was this about? This was about God bringing about restoration, not just for one person, but for humanity.
No, the restoration is for that the woman's seed. Yeah, the woman's seed.
Why? Because according to Romans chapter number 5, all fell in Adam.
Yeah, the all that fell was his descendants, those of his seed. Yeah, those of his seed. And we read in Second Esdras chapter 3, yeah, when he transgressed, death came into him and his generations.
One man sinned, and therefore death passed upon all men. And so God's redemptive purposes has never.
And you see that in Genesis chapter 2, Adam was sinless. Yeah? Therefore, he was in that immortal state. When he sinned, that's when death came upon him and his generation, his seed.
Been specifically about one ethnic group or one race of people, but about all humanity. Let's move.
And that is incorrect. Yeah, so, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. With that, I'm going to close out. I'm going to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Mahar, Rakar, Kadash, Kwame, Allah.